Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before we start with the testimonies and the proceedings, I just want to uh, mention a couple of administrative announcements here. If you're going to testify, please make sure that you sign the signing sheet. And if you're going to submit a written testimony, you can send it. You can present it here, or you can send it to my email address, and I'll give you my email address later on, and the location of my office. Thank you very much. This confirmation hearing for Bernard Benavente to serve as member of the Guam Contractor License Board. But before we proceed, can I ask Bernard to please come up to the front? And also those that are giving testimony for our good friend Bernard, you can come up. Usually, sometimes when we go with the the first speaker, second speaker, whatever, we go with the signing sheet. But what I usually do is just go from after the principal speaks, then either we start from the right all the way to the left or the left to the right. Thank you very much. Buenas para hamdu todos na manggagi guni na bonito nogan. This confirmation hearing by the Committee on Public Safety, Border Safety, Military and Veterans Affairs, Mayor's Council of Guam Infrastructure and Public Transit is hereby called to order. For the record, and in accordance with Section 8107 of Chapter 8 to 5 GCA, the first confirmation hearing notice was sent out April 25th, 2019, adhering to the 5 working days notice. And the second confirmation hearing adhering to the 48 hours notice was sent out on Wednesday, May 1st, 2019. And in addition to this confirmation, the notice was sent out to the Guam Legislature website also. And the time now is 10:05. In addition to that, I just want to recognize our good senator here, Senator Mars Taitano. And I'll be remiss if I don't say this as a whole. Thank you very much for coming here and joining us and sharing this wonderful moment to make sure that the principal, Mr. Benavente, is cleared and he's going to do a good job once he's confirmed. Thank you very much. So I want to ask our good friend, Mr. Benavente, to present his testimony, and then we'll go with the others, and then after that, I'm going to ask my colleague here to ask the questions, whatever she wants. So go ahead, sir.
Buenas noches, Senator Terlaje, Chairman, Senator Mars Taitano, Committee. I am honored to be here this morning, and I would like to share a few highlights about myself. My name is Bernard Santos Benavente, and I reside in the village of Lerdo. I am married to Amelita Blas Benavente, and we have 12 children, 26 grandchildren, and 1 great-grand. I am a retired Guam Power Authority electrician by trade. I have been in the construction industry for over 25 years, working with mainland contractors at the Joint Marianas Naval Base Guam and the Anderson Air Force Base, as well as previously serving on the Pews Board. Currently, I am a construction manager working with the University of Guam on capital improvement projects, such as the stormwater mitigation project, the engineering annex, and the new student center. I am qualified and certified by way of NAFAC and the Army Corps of Engineers as a superintendent, quality control manager, safety officer, construction manager, and a project manager. I worked at our neighboring FSM islands, building schools, paving airport runways, managing airport renovations, and infrastructures worth millions of dollars. I give back to the community by being an active member for our youth, such as baseball, soccer, and football. I am a baseball coach and manager for the village of Dedido and Jigo for the Carl Ripken League. And I am an active member at Our Lady of Lourdes Church in Jigo. In 1977, the Contractors License Board was established and became Public Law 14-51 and was amended to Public Law 30-11 and comprised with 7 board members. Their mission statement is to protect the public health, safety, and general welfare in dealing with persons engaged with the construction industry and affording protection against incompetent, inexperienced, unlawful, and unfair practices with contractors with whom they may contract. I can assure that rendering my experience and expertise to assist the Contractors License Board to enforce rules and regulations to protect the people, the government of Guam, and to enforce the building code standards for Guam. The construction of buildings has increased tremendously on the island. That is why we need to promote and strive for the prosperity of the construction industry that will best serve our community and to the best interest of the Guam Contractors License Board. Also, to reach its goals, to initiate an outreach program, a core digital system, and to include a new facility. In closing, I would like to thank the Honorable Governor Lou Leon Guerrero, the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Joshua Tenorio, my family and friends that are here present today to support me. Thank you.
This is Monsieur Bernard. You know, I've known you, maybe not personally, but I've heard about your qualification. I heard about your energetic style in life, that you've always been out there, not only working in private firms, but also within the government. And I want to thank you for taking the challenge. And I want to thank our governor, lieutenant governor, for making that right choice. And I know you're going to do a good job. So at this point in time, I want to start with the first on my left and to your right.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Senators, for the opportunity to speak here on behalf of Mr. Benavente. I'm going to keep it real short because I think I can encapsulate everything very quickly. In essence, I've known Mr. Benavente for quite some time, and I've known him to be a man of high ethics, good character, and outstanding work ethic. I've seen that and experienced it firsthand in dealing with contractors and employees in a very fair, just, and strict manner. So I believe this gentleman's experience and his character will well serve this government and the people of Guam. And I think this was a great appointment, and I stand fully behind him. Thank you.
Jesus Masi.
Good morning, Senators. Senators Marsh Taitano and Chairman Terlaje. My name is Sonny Perez. I'm the Chief Engineer or Capital Projects Manager over at the University of Guam. I'm here to speak in support of Mr. Benevente. I've known Mr. Benevente since I was a junior engineer over at the Guam Power Authority back in the late 80s. And we eventually ran into each other again together at the Appeals Board. I served at the Appeals Board for 6 years. And then over at the University of Guam, I ran into Mr. Benevente during one of our walkthroughs at the Student Center. And he was a contractor, and I was quite surprised because at that time when I ran into him, I thought he was already retired. And so to see him again, I said, wow, dude, aren't you old already? You should be out on the beach, relaxing. He goes, no, I can't relax. I said, okay, fine. And I asked him what he was doing. He said, Sonny, I'd like to work for the university if there's a way to do so. I said, well, what are you doing? And he gave me this large packet of papers. And oftentimes, I've been the chief engineer at the university for 15 years or so, sir. And so I've run into enough contractors that the papers isn't enough to show really what you can do. You got to be able to pound that pavement and show me, sweat. You got to sweat it out. And you know what? I'm not disappointed. As a matter of fact, he excelled all my expectations. We put him on a contract, a small one, just to see what he can do. And, and he excelled. I will confirm that. I can testify to that. He would show me these problems. And the trick is with these contractors, there are some of them who just show me, and then they let me finish the work. And that's the bad part. It's like, excuse me, I hired you so not to just show me, but to also figure it out and solve it. Well, he did that. He finished the loop. He would report it, give me a very suitable solution, and then he would even execute it and wrap it up. So it comes to me delivered and finished. And that I appreciate that. And I believe he can apply that same process when he's over at the Guam Contractors Licensing Board. He's quite diligent, very capable, and competent. So I have my utmost confidence that he will be very successful over at the Guam Licensing Board, sir. And
Thank you very much. And you're right when you mentioned, he's gotta know, you gotta see him do that practical application. Because I was an RME for the Contractors License Board, and what they did is they gave me a written test and I passed it. But if I was gonna go and do electrical work, I'm scared. I don't really know how, right? But on paper, I know the answers to that because it was only multiple choice. So I was prepared to take the test and I passed it, but I don't think I'm really qualified to be an RME. And I thank you very much. And you re-echoed, the importance of knowing, to do that practical,
Yes, sir.
task that you need to do. Go ahead, former mayor of Jigo and working for the governor's office. Thank you, Bob.
Senyor Chairman, Pedo Terlaje, Senator, and of course to our Senator Marsh Taitano. Good morning. In honors Robert Sanchez Lozama, Gaigyo Guninogan as a former mayor of Jigo to provide testimony in support of Bernard Santos Benevente's nomination, and thankful to our governor and lieutenant governor for allowing this nomination and recognizing Bernard Benevente's array of qualifications that he has for the Contractors License Board. I'd just like to share, of course, that Bernard is no stranger, of course, to Bob Lozama, myself, and that is because as a mayor back then, while serving as mayor, he was one individual, of course, that was very involved. Although he says he lives in Dededo, his heart is really in Jigo. I say that much because when he would need help, he would come to Jigo and he would get that help in helping our children in terms of the Cal Redskins ball to use the baseball field for practice and this, for many years. And to hear this morning with Mr. Benevente's testimony that he continues to serve and coach our children, especially in the Cal Redskins baseball, that's amazing. And it's rightfully so that, of course, the nomination as a Contractors License Board member to serve in the board, is evident of his commitment that when he sets his mind, with the sports involvement that he has in our community. What more as a contractor, as indicated that, he had served in the Pews board at one time. And then from there, with this array of work experience, he has friends here and coworkers, of course. I've never worked for Bernard Beneventi, but I can say this much is that I did have at least 2 years of working under the former J.T. Lozama engineering firm, who Jesse had sent me off to the Trades Academy. And there I got certified as safety officer. And if I was to go that direction, there's no way that I can ever compete with what Bernard has experienced and gained for the years dating back to God. I guess here in his resume, back to 2006, from all types of contractual experience in terms of project administrator, the general superintendent, down to construction management, field superintendent, project manager, and the like, and it just goes on. This is the kind of members and board members that we need in the construction industry to be the safeguard in ensuring that the building codes are followed. And with that, I am certain that Mr. Beneventi can do just that and be the eye watchers for the community of Guam, for our safety and the people of Guam and our island's construction industry. In line with that, he also has the time, even with his beautiful wife, Amy, to have a successful man is always to have a successful woman. And in that, they work hand in hand in the baseball community with 12 children, grandchildren. They still have the time to also extend their life in the community of Jigo under the Our Lady of Lourdes Church. And if I was still going to Our Lady of Lourdes, I'm sure we would be working together. But he has a mission with Our Lady of Lourdes, and I have a mission with Saint Bernardita, where I attend Mass. But nevertheless, he is also part of the Parish Financial Council for Our Lady of Lourdes, and that deals with finances. With that, I'm certain that you allowing Mr. Beneventi this opportunity to serve, to be one of the Contractors License Board member, would be greatly advantageous to our island. So with that, I congratulate, of course, and I thank Mr. Beneventi for his continued service and wanting to accepting the nomination, at the same time wanting to continue serving even after retirement. Thank you very much, Senators.
Jusumasi, Mr. Mayor. Until mine be talo, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Senator Terlaje and Senator Taitano. I'm here on behalf of Bernard Santos Beneventi. I'm the Capital Improvement Project Coordinator for the University of Guam, and I'm a direct report to Sonny Perez. And Bernard responds both to Sonny and I on these projects that he's been assigned as a
Go ahead and say your
manager.
name, and because that's going to be on record.
Oh, Robert James McIntosh. And everybody at UOG knows me as Uncle Bob, so just put Robert James McIntosh. That's the name my mother and father gave me. That'll work fine. I'm going to be very succinct in my response, and because everybody else has already spoken highly of Bernard, I would say ditto. That would be the shortest statement. However, in my experience in the short 2 years that I've known him and the projects that he's been managing for on behalf of the university, he has a very strong work ethic. He has a very clear understanding of all of the building codes and all the safety standards. He has a very wonderful working relationship with all the contractors that he helps us manage. It's not only just go to work, observe, go back to the office, write a report. Bernard stays out in the field and not only manages the project, he also manages the workers there to make sure that they're in compliance at all times. So, in conclusion, I highly support Bernard Santos Beneventi to be on the Contractors License Board. He's well qualified and a very good and honorable man.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, Senator Taitano and Senator Terlaje. My name is Lori Arceo. I am the resident manager for Apicento Garden. I am proud to submit my testimonial letter on behalf of Bernard Benavente, whom I've known and worked with through UOG projects as a manager under Ability Solutions. I have had the opportunity to observe Mr. Benavente's professional skills as well as his interpersonal style. He constantly is pleasant, has great enthusiasm, a dedicated worker, and shows strong leadership and is very well trustworthy. In the course of our project with Mr. Benavente, he has given me an open-minded education within the construction industry. Some things I don't know too much about. It basically relates to my position as resident manager of Epicenter Garden. He has helped educate me tremendously in problem solving, knowledge sharing of his experience. I've had the greatest confidence in Mr. Benavente ever since I've met him through UOG projects. On a different note as well, he has encouraged me to become self-employed, woman-owned business, which I'm in the process of obtaining my license. Something I've always been wanting to do, but didn't have the proper guidance nor the courage. He gave me the supportive motivation to pursue my interest of a sideline business. I have no doubt that Mr. Benavente will prove to be a great and valuable asset in any organization, even on a private sector. And he's all about compliance.
Jesus Marcy, ma'am.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Hafaday, Chairman Terlaje, Senator Marsh Taitano. My name is Dr. Austin Shelton. I serve as the Executive Director of the University of Guam Center for Island Sustainability and Director of the University of Guam Sea Grant Program. I am happy to be here to speak in strong support of the confirmation of Mr. Bernard Benavente as a member of the Guam Contractors License Board. I met Mr. Benavente about 2 years ago when he started overseeing quality control of construction and capital improvement projects at the University of Guam. Our UOG Sea Grant program has been expanding with additional grant funding in recent years, and we were in need of additional space for our growing staff. We were fortunate to get a new space for our headquarters at UOG Dean Circle, but it was badly in need of renovations. So thanks to Mr. Perez here and Uncle Bob, they were able to have that happen for us. And our construction project was placed on Mr. Benavente's oversight list for quality control. Mr. Benavente led several meetings with the contractors. He was thorough in detailing the scope of work and laying out his expectations. Throughout the project, I watched how diligent Mr. Benavente was at every step of the way. He checked on the workers to make sure they established safety perimeters, wore safety vests and hard hats, and he even made sure that no one was trying to sneak a cigarette on our tobacco-free campus. He ensured that quality materials were procured, best practices were used, and that everything was up to code. Thanks to Mr. Benavente, corners were not cut, and a high-quality product was delivered. UOG Sea Grant now resides in one of the most beautiful office spaces on campus and serves as a model of energy efficiency, using 70% less energy than other offices on Dean Circle. In my conversations with Mr. Benavente, I learned that he isn't at UOG simply to get a paycheck. Mr. Benavente has a great appreciation for the work of the university and the education provided to the students. Students are being trained to one day come out and lead our island. It is important to Mr. Benavente that they have high-quality facilities to receive that education. He demands that the job is done right the first time so we can get ahead instead of spending money on preventable repairs. Mr. Benavente's training and years of experience make him extremely knowledgeable in the construction industry. He is a hardworking person of integrity who cares about the island and ensuring that things are done right. I am confident that Mr. Benavente will bring the same integrity and passion he demonstrates at UOG to his work on the Guam Contractors License Board. Therefore, I urge you to vote in favor of his confirmation. Thank you for this opportunity to provide testimony.
Jesus Marcy. I would like to have our good senator here ask her questions.
Banana Sizus, everyone. It's very good to see family here and a wide variety of people here to support Mr. Benavente. So first I want to start with thanking Mr. Benavente for some of your additional work that you're doing, the ways that you're going out there and serving our community by coaching and managing the youth teams like the baseball teams. I also come from a family that has that kind of service where my parents have done that kind of work as coaches and sports officials for decades. So I just think it's such an important thing to give our youth that kind of activity. It keeps them healthy, but it builds self-esteem, it builds a camaraderie, it just does so many important things. So thank you for that. And if I can just ask really quickly, Dispensa Zu. So my understanding is that the Benavente family has a really strong presence in Dededo, and I'm trying to continue building up that social map in my mind. So the Benaventes that I'm closest to are those that are the children and grandchildren of Tana Elena. So I'm just wondering how closely you are not related.
Tana Elena is
Okay.
my father's sister-in-law. Tana Elena's husband, Uncle Pepe, is my dad's brother.
Okay, so very closely
Yes, ma'am.
related. Well, that is already additionally adding to your list of support then, and the character that I know that you're coming here with. So it's also good to hear about your work in neighboring islands. We, of course, have a diverse community, and I think maybe it's not immediately apparent to everybody, but I think that those are some important characteristics that you bring with you to the Guam Contractors License Board. There may be issues that come up in particular ways, and so I think that's an additional qualification or characteristic that you bring with you, and I think that's really important as our community is trying to work together and build things literally and metaphorically together. So I really appreciate that aspect, and it was very good to read through and hear your testimony, but also that of the others. All of those qualities are so important. The thoroughness, not cutting corners, making sure that it's done right the first time, being very diligent about ensuring each of those steps is taken appropriately. So those all speak very, very well to you being qualified for sitting on this board. So the one question I would like to ask you is, in seeing yourself in that position, do you have a priority of something that you like to be addressing there? Maybe some issue you'd like to help resolve, or just something that you would like to continue to ensure stays in place?
Well, right off the bat, the Contractors License Board needs to be more modernized. With today's technology, the board, the entity itself, in ways it needs to formulate, it needs to modernize their computer system, the way how they handle contractors and issues here on the island. Upgrading, educating, hiring more people. Especially, they need a really a better facility to operate out of. There's many key components to help the entity with what was mentioned earlier from federal grants, local grants. We just can't wait for the Department of Administration, especially on our budget crunch. We need to find ways, better opportunity to build up the Contractors License Board and to support them. And I welcome outside investors, not investors, but also the community to help out also and find ways how to better the Contractors License Board. And we need to move on because we're modernized, we're growing. There's thousands of people here. The marine buildup is here. We just can't fiddle-faddle. We just need to move on and for the best interest of Guam.
Sujuas Maasi, those sound like very important priorities, so it's very good to hear about them. We're finding out that pretty much government-wide, we're at a point in time in our development that we're needing to modernize some of our systems and certainly avail ourselves of software and programs that are out there or
Right.
updating, like heavily updating the ones that we have in place. We're finding out that many, such as with the AG's office and elsewhere, that they're dealing with software from the 90s, the early 90s. So it's definitely time to be implementing some of those upgrades. So I'm glad that that's a priority for you. And I think it can help make the board be more efficient and the whole community that is part of that board more responsive to the community at large. And I'm glad to hear of the ways that you're looking to engage but also draw in members of the community. It's true. That seems to be the way that governments are operating now, that we need to be figuring out how to access those federal grants and getting that community engagement. And I would also encourage, in the ways that it makes sense, but I think you'll find that the military is very supportive in these sort of measures as well. So if there are ways to be working with the military in the work that the board will be doing and the work that it oversees, I think that you'll find them a strong partner in that. Of course, they're doing a lot of construction themselves. They are relying on us having a strong government and a strong economy, and these strong parts of our build up better outside of the fence, the ways that we're constructing and
Right.
So when I say building up, I mean that in the construction sense, not the military build-up sense. But I think that if there is not anything in place, that they will be very receptive and very willing to be supportive. And again, maybe in those federal grants that the board might be applying for, that they could offer that support and even testify on behalf of Guam in those situations. So just ma'asi to everybody
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Dr. Mars. Is there anybody else that wish to? I just received a note here that there's two more individuals that would like to testify. Just go ahead and state your name.
My name is Amalita Blas Benavente. I am the wife of Bernard Santos Benavente. Buenas and half a day. Senator Jose Pedo Terlaje, Chairman and members of the Public Safety, Border Safety, Military and Veterans Affairs, Mayor's Council, and Infrastructure and Public Safety. My name is Amalita Blas Benavente. I reside in the village of Dedido. I am the wife of Bernard Santos Benavente. My husband is a retired GPA electrician. He is hardworking. He's a hardworking man who not only is dedicated to taking care of his family, but his community as well. I would like to share a short story of my husband's determination. If my memory serves me right, it was 1992 when Typhoon Roy hit the island of Guam. My husband and I both work at GPA, and at the time, he was working with customer service and I was working with transportation. Because the typhoon Because of the typhoon, all electricians were told to report to T&D operations to help with the restoration efforts. Power was out for a while, and GPA's employees were working 12 to 16-hour shifts. We live in the village. We live in the Wistic Road, and without power for almost 3 weeks. One day when he came home, I asked him why our area was still without power, and he replied, "The transformer by our house was damaged, and we are waiting for new transformers as a result." He said we would be without power for a while. I jokingly told him, "Oh my God, hon, we both work for GPA and we don't have power? What's up with that?" So the next day when he got off, he went to the Dededo substation transfer yard and took 2 damaged transformers and repaired 1. After which he asked if he installed the transformer to the pole, would they energize our lines? The power was restored. As a matter of fact, that generator went out, or the transformer just went out about a month ago. I know my husband takes pride in what he does, but he has proven time and time again to be very resourceful. He has turned the can't into can with integrity and know-how. Not only is he a lifetime public servant, he also has pride in his community and has volunteered his time to coach baseball and is active at our church. He is members of the Hospitality and Finance Council. Without a doubt, Bernard's commitment, dedication, and experience and expertise will benefit the island of Guam, plus the Contractors Licensing Board, to enforce the rules and regulation that is in place. Because Bernard is steadfast in his beliefs and will not tether, I am quite certain that he will ensure that the mission of the Guam Contractors Licensing Board is followed, and that all who is involved in the construction industry will adhere to the building codes and standards of Guam. But that is the individuals and companies practicing the trade are competent and experienced. And I would like to thank the committee and the governor and the lieutenant governor of Guam for appointing or recommending my husband for appointment.
Sister Machi. Go ahead then.
Senator and Chairperson Jose Pedro Terlaje and Senator Taitano. My name is Darnell Benaventi, and I am here on behalf of my father, Bernard S. Benaventi. Growing up, my father was always there. I remember when I was in elementary, my dad would drop me to school. He would always sing Ragamuffin Baby Girl to me. My dad is a selfless man. He always puts his family first. There was 12 of us growing up, and my dad made sure he had everything we need and more. I've always known my dad to be a coach for a baseball team, and he always volunteers his time to the Jigo Church. At a very young age, I knew my father was and is to this day a hardworking man. My father set an example for all of us to work hard and never give up. There are no words to explain why my dad should be a board member of the Contractors License Board. He will show you through his hard work, his experience, his qualifications that he deserves to be a member. Thank you.
Sister Machi, ela é com algo querida, não? Go ahead, sir.
Hafaday Senator Jose Pedro Terlaje, Chairperson. Hafaday Senator Kelly G. Marsh Taitano. I'm here on the behalf of my father in support of him. To be honest, there's no words that could explain how hardworking my father is, and if you search up the word hardworking, I believe that his picture is right next to it. But at a young age, my father, I always watched him listen, learn, not really listen, but mostly, mostly learn. He always wants us to do great, be better than you were yesterday. And there's no, excuse me, he's just one hardworking man. My father, he's my role model. I look up to him, and hopefully I could exceed his expectations of being his son. He is my hero. He's my family's hero, and I'm glad that he is my father. Excuse me. Obviously, you can see that this is very emotional because I'm the second youngest, and we really don't have that communication between me and my father and I. But I just know that he's ready to tackle on these issues with the board committee. Thank you.
Just Marcy.
Afide, Senator
Go ahead, ma'am.
Terlaje, and Senator Taitano. My name is Miriam Rupley, and Bernard Beneventi is my father-in-law. I've known him for a little over 10 years, and he welcomed me into his family. And I just want to say that he is a great man. He's the leader of the Beneventi clan. And the kids, his kids, his grandkids, all look up to him. He's an inspiration. He's very firm, but also very loving. He's just always there for the family. He's a very busy, hardworking man. I visited him at job sites, and I see how hardworking he is. And even with that, he still makes time for his family, and he still makes time for his community and his church. His faith and his service to the community is something that we all look up to, and like my brother-in-law said, we want to exceed his expectations and be better than we were yesterday because of him. And I thank you for allowing him and us to speak today. I appreciate it.
Like I mentioned in the beginning, right? And just listening to some of the testimonies here, especially coming from the family, I can tell that the governor, lieutenant governor, certainly made that right choice. And I know you're going to do good and help us, help our people, and help our island.
Yes,
This is
sir.
Mashi.
This is
In closing, anybody else that wants to testify? Thank you, Mr. Beneventi.
Thank you.
Being on this board is important because you and the other members are responsible for making sure that the construction industry on Guam is thriving, and I am sure that you will do a good job in your responsibility and take your appointment seriously.
Yes, sir.
The Committee on Public Safety, Border Safety, Military and Veterans Affairs, Marriage Council, Infrastructure, and Public Transit has duly heard the executive appointment of Mr. Bernard Beneventi to serve as a member of the Guam Contractors License Board. And for those that are submitting written testimony, you can send your written testimony to my website, Senator Pedo at senatorjpterlaje.com, or you can send it to my address at no later than 10 days at Bridgepoint Building, Suite 202, 140 Aspinall Avenue here in Agana. But better yet, because everybody's calling my office. Where is your office? You don't have a sign on your address. So to make it clear and to make it really, for people to come to my office is, going out from the police station, you pass the post office. Is the yellow building on the right side, and I'm on top there, second floor. That's better
All right.
than giving you my numbered address.
Okay.
I just want to thank you, sir, for
Thank you,
taking the
Senator.
challenge. So,
Thank you so much.
the thing is, the things that I heard, like I said, I was RME for the longest time. And I was in the construction business. I used to own Pedo construction.
Yes.
And I've heard about you. I've heard about a man that needs to be in this government and serve our people. And I want to thank you for again, for coming up and to the plate and taking the challenge. Si Jesus Masi am todos.
Thank you. Si Jesus Masi.
Bonito na ani para hagula Bernard. Bonito na ani.
Si Jesus Masi, Senator.